Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we are going to create a web API with ASP.NET Core. In this tutorial, you will learn how to create a web API project. We are going to add a model class and a database context. We are going to add a controller. We are going to add CRUD functionalities methods. We are going to configure routing and URL paths. We are going to specify return values. We are going to use Postman and jQuery to call the web API. And at the end, you have a web API that can manage to-do items stored in a relational database. In this tutorial, we are going to create the following APIs. To begin with, we require the following prerequisites: Visual Studio 2019 with the ASP.NET and web development workload, .NET Core SDK 2.2 or later. Let's begin. So to start with, go to Files, New, Project, then select ASP.NET Core. Here you can go project type, all type projects. Here say ASP.NET Core Web Application. So this is our option. Say next. Then I'm going to give name here as to-do API, to-do API. Okay, you can save to your desired location. Here I'm saying API. All right, and then click on create. Right, and then select API. Make sure here in the drop down we have a .NET Core and ASP.NET Core 2.2 and click on create. Great. So now our project is ready. So let's run the project. Press Ctrl F5. So now after pressing Ctrl F5, Visual Studio launches a browser and navigates to HTTPS localhost, and it will take a random port number, right? And if you get a dialog box that asks if you should trust the IIS Express certificate, select yes. In the security warning dialog that appears next, select yes, and then you will get this output: value 1, value 2. Now the next step is we are going to add a model class. A model is a set of classes that represents the data that the app manages. The model for this app is a single to-do item class. So in Solution Explorer, right click the project, select add new folder. So right click the project, select add new folder, and name the folder as models. All right, then right click the models folder, select add a select add a class. Here give the class name as to do item. Click on add. Okay, after creating the class, we are going to add the properties, which is ID, name, and is complete. All right, so I'm going to add those properties here. Fine, so let's just do like this, and we have a long ID, string name, and bool is complete. The ID property functions as the unique key in a relational database. Model classes can go anywhere in the project, but the models folder is used by convention. Now the next thing we are going to do here is we are going to add a database context. The database context is the main class that coordinates entity framework functionality for a data model. This class is created by deriving from the Microsoft.EntityFramework core.db context class. So let's create it. Right click the model class, click add class, give here the name and click on add. So now we have created a to-do context class. Now here we are going to add the properties and the next code. So I'll be adding here the code for that. So in to-do context we have added db context. So just say control dot quick action and refactoring using Microsoft.EntityFramework core. So this is how our class look like. Fine. In ASP.NET Core, services such as the DB context must be registered with the dependency injection container. The container provides the service to controllers. So now we need to update startup.cs class. So let's do it. Fine. Open the startup.cs file, and then here we are going to add the DB context service. So to do that, let's just paste here the code. Okay, under the configure service method we just need to paste this thing which says that add DB context, and to fix this just click on it and use our models folder. And then to do this, click on this and use our entity framework core thing. Alright, so after adding our code, we have added entity framework core and we have added to-do API dot models. So which was this? This is the code which we have added. Here we are adding the DB context, which is nothing but we are registering the DB context. Okay. Next thing is now we are going to add a controller. So go to controller, right click, add controller. The pop-up box appears here. Select API controller class. Okay, and click add. Here we have to give the name. So we are going to give the name as to-do controller. Click on add. So the preceding code defines an API controller class without methods. It decorates the class with the API controller attribute. This attribute indicates that the controller responds to web API request. And now we are going to add a constructor which is going to inject the database context into the controller, and the database context is used in each of the CRUD methods in the controller. Let's do it. Okay, so we have we have added this constructor and we have injected a to-do context, okay, which is going to work for the CRUD operations in the controller. This constructor is going to add an item named item1 to the database if the database is empty. This code is in the constructor, so it runs every time there is a new HTTP request. If you delete all items, the constructor creates item1 again the next time an API method is called. So it may look like the deletion didn't work when it actually did work. Now the next thing is we are going to add a get method. Okay, so here we are going to add two get methods. Okay, potential fixes this entity. Fine. So we have added two endpoints, get to do items and get to do item method. Get to do items method is going to list all the items, and get to do item is going to list item by ID. Let's run it and check the results. So let us use our endpoint, which is to do. It is going to return the complete item list. At the moment we have just created only one item, so it is showing the complete JSON object. Let's say if we want to get item by ID, then we have to provide the item ID. Here I'm providing 1 and pressing 1, so it is showing the result of ID 1 having item name as item 1 is complete is false. Alright, so this is how we are fetching the data through these two endpoints. One is get item, and another one is get item by ID. Now let us test the same thing with Postman. You need to install a Postman in your Google Chrome. It is one of the Google store item which you can search and install. So let's do it. Right, so in Chrome Web Store you can find Postman and you can install it. Once you find it, you can simply click on Launch App. Alright, so just download the native one. (64-bit) if you have this 64-bit operating system. Click on the exe file. Just follow the wizard. You can sign up with Google or any account. Provide your Google credentials. Provide the password. Once the Postman is ready, then select the HTTP method as get. Run the application. In the Postman, provide the HTTP URL, which is our API URL. Click on send, and here it got the values. Here we'll say to do send. So here we got the JSON object list. If I want to get the to do item by ID by 1, send. So here we just got the JSON object. So this is how we can call the web API using Postman. Let us add a create method into our controller now and do the testing with the Postman. So here we have added a HTTP post which is going to perform a create action, and here we have given the name of get to do item, and we are passing a new ID to create a new item. So let us run it. After running it, just go to Postman and here select the HTTP action verb as post, and then here pass the URL